What's up, guys? So this one is called Rufus, Raine, and the American Witch, and I'm gonna read it in chapter videos because if this one has like I don't know 6 or 7 chapters, so if I read them all, it would be like an extremely long video. So we're just gonna do one chapter at a time, and yeah. So as always, I'll put the author in the description, and yeah, this first chapter is called New Beginnings, and it's following an American witch who basically got expelled from Ilvermorny, and now she has to go to Hogwarts. So. Has to. She gets to, man. But anyway. So, let's get started. This chapter is called New Beginnings. It's been 2 weeks since my expulsion from Ilvermorny. I've gotten out of bed a total of 5 times, and I can barely handle the thought of learning at a school called Hogwarts. Like, what does that even mean? Rays of sun shine through the slits in the curtains, and I decided to get up. Living alone proved to be much harder than I expected. After my parents had banished me from our home in Wisconsin, I had been forced to live in a small apartment in a crappy city in England. My hair was messy, and I hadn't changed clothes in several days. What's wrong with me, I thought. Ever since I was expelled from the school and kicked out of my house, I didn't much care for my looks like I used to, and my mood was always bad. I decided that today was the day I was going to get out of the house and explore the town a bit. I grabbed a black tee, a pair of jeans, and I changed into them, put my hair in a tight ponytail, put on my shoes, and went for a walk. I hadn't yet seen much of the town apart from my apartment and the nearest grocery store, so I took the bus to the town's only mall. I sat on the crowded bus, and 2 men started to fight. I quickly got off at the nearest stop. I hate no-man's transportation. If I could only use my broom, this would be so much easier. The bus station was right next to the park with a small pond. Not too bad, I guess, I said quietly to myself. As I sat on a bench there, watching people walk by, I couldn't help but think about my friends back at Ilvermorny, how they'd be starting their 6th year in the best wizarding school in the world, and I had to start a new life in Hogwash, or whatever it was called. On the other side of the park was a man who was a bit overdressed for the park, reading a book, his wavy blonde hair swaying slightly in the breeze. He was quite handsome, but seemed to be a bit older than I was, and his glasses looked odd. I couldn't exactly see what book he was reading due to the distance, but he seemed to be engulfed in it. It was around 2 p.m. when I headed back home, though home wouldn't be the best way to describe it. As I unlocked the door and stepped inside, I heard a sound of knocking on my window. I looked over and saw a large gray owl pecking at the window, and he had a letter tied to his foot. Or was it a claw? Anyway, I opened the window and untied the letter from his claw and opened it. I hoped it would be an invitation to a trial regarding my expulsion, but I knew they wouldn't put me on trial since they knew I was guilty. The letter was from Hogwarts. It was a list of books and other things I'd be needing for the school year. At the bottom was an address to a place I could get the things from. Diagon Alley? I asked no one in particular. I went to the address, but there was nothing there but a brick wall. I tried Alohomora, but it did nothing, and just my luck. Maybe the address was wrong. As I tried to figure out the situation, a woman showed up behind me. She was taller than me and had long brown hair, and her son, I assume, looked to be around 10 or 11. I could tell they weren't nomads, since the mother had her wand out. She smiled at me and asked if I was trying to get into Diagon Alley. Yes, I responded, but I believe I have the wrong address. She smiled at me and proceeded to tap some of the bricks with her wand. Suddenly, the bricks began to rearrange themselves and opened a doorway into the place I assumed was Diagon Alley. I thanked the woman and began to look for the right stores. Around an hour later, I had everything I needed. All the books, parchment, quills, ink, robes. What else was there? I looked at the list again and saw that there was one thing left that was optional. You may bring one of the following: a toad, an owl, or a cat. The idea seemed absurd to me. Bringing a pet to school, why would they allow that? Back at Ilvermorny, we weren't... I stopped my train of thought as quickly as it started. I'm not going to be back in Ilvermorny this year. The thought upset me. I liked Ilvermorny. I had friends there, and my teachers were great. I was stupid enough to get expelled. I'm such an idiot, I thought, as tears formed in my eyes. Maybe bringing a companion to school wasn't such a bad idea after all. I entered the pet store and looked at the animals, and after thinking about it, I decided to get a cat, specifically a medium sized white cat named Dominic. I chose him because he seemed to be very calm, and the store worker said he doesn't scratch or bite much, which was one of my concerns. Though I'm more of a dog person, Dominic and I got along well once I brought him home. He claimed the checkered armchair in the living room for himself, and that's where he slept most nights. He didn't shed much since his fur was short, but he had a tendency to attack any owls that came to give me letters. My mood got a bit better once I brought Dominic home, and I started going outside more often. But every night, as I laid down to sleep, my thoughts wandered back to my life in the U.S. So that's chapter 1, and watch out for chapter 2. But I think this is great. Thank you, Amaya Howard, for writing it. I think it's really great. And yeah, this has been fun.